You guys ready for Baylor hate week? Usually it's more like Texas bye week. But this year's a little bit different with Baylor. Um, they're all right. And when I say all right, I mean they're good for a Baylor team. Um, I will say something about Baylor. I like their quarterback. Robert Griffin, he's the real deal. I watched him play some. The guy's athletic. The guy can pass. I mean, he threw only one interception all year. Now, it was last week, but it was against Missouri, and they lost by 3. Now, they could have won that game. He threw the pick at a critical time in the game, but hey, I'm a Longhorns fan. I know about critical mistakes and critical moments of a game. But game's at 11 o'clock tomorrow, and it's here in DKR. We have to blow them out. We have to get style points now. Before last week, we didn't have to worry about that. We were number 1 team in the nation, and all we had to do was win. Now we're going to have to get style points and whatnot, and we're going to need some help. More than likely, Texas is going to win this game, and Texas is probably going to win this game by a large margin. I expect the Longhorns to come out flat. I really do. After this 4-game stretch we had to go through, and after that devastating loss in Lubbock last week, I would be really surprised if the guys really came out fired up and ready to go to start this game. I hope they are. I hope they prove me wrong, but I think that's going to happen. I think as the game gets on, the talent will take over, and then we'll end up winning by a huge margin later in the game. A lot of guys aren't playing. I heard the Rakpo is going to play some, but not a lot. I'd rather him not play at all. I don't know if Cosby's going to play. We had a lot of injured guys, got a lot of banged up guys last week. And so we're going to kind of sit those guys quite a bit and try to get some of our backups some work before we have to go to Lawrence next week. But really, this is important. We have to win the rest of our games if we want a chance at a Big 12 title / a national title. But we need some help now. We need Tech to lose. And here's the situation. Tech has Oklahoma State, and as I've told you guys, Oklahoma State is very good. They haven't beat they haven't beat Tech in Lubbock since World War II, though. So if Oklahoma State does pull the upset, which I don't think will be a huge, massive upset, when these 4 teams, Texas, Tech, OU, and Oklahoma State play each other, whoever wins, if the lower team wins, it's not a huge upset. All 4 of these teams are legitimate title contenders, in my opinion. But if Oklahoma State does win that game, it'll be a pretty big deal because they've never won since World War II in Lubbock, and I can see that happening. And so here's the struggle with Tech now. Can Tech come off a big win and continue a season? And I think Tech fans will agree. Texas Tech has the ability to have upsets. They beat us last week. Last year they beat Oklahoma, but they've never been able to pull a whole season together to win a Big 12 championship. This season is their best chance of doing this. They're undefeated late in the season. Now they've got 2 huge tests. Oklahoma State this week, and they have Oklahoma in Norman down the road. If they win both those games, they're in. But here's the thing. If they drop one of those games, either Okie State or Oklahoma, it has a 4-way tie now between us, Okie State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Now, one of those teams, if that happens, one of those teams at least will be knocked out because Oklahoma and Oklahoma State will play each other. So there's a potential for at least a 3-way tie at the end of this between us, Texas, and Oklahoma, with us, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State. And I think as I've looked at it, it looks like Texas would have the advantage there. I think we've had the highest BCS ranking so far. If Tech lost, we would probably move up. We'd have to worry about OU jumping us. But really, if that happens and we're back in this, us being ranked number 4, like I said in my last video about the Longhorns, I was worried. I thought we would get dropped below USC. And I was right about the coaches poll that it would drop us to like 7. But the BCS got it right finally, and we're number 4. So we're right there sitting pretty. So really, I mean, I'm looking forward to our game. But really, I'm really looking forward to that Tech-Oklahoma State game and, of course, the LSU-Alabama game. LSU is not very good this year. They really aren't. But the game's in Baton Rouge. Bama has had close games this year. And it's not too far of an outreach if LSU pull that upset. If that happens, if Tech loses to Oklahoma State and if LSU beats Bama, we're number 2 behind Penn State, and then we're back in the hunt. That's really not a whole lot that has to happen to help us out. But we can't really worry. The Longhorns themselves, as a fan, I can talk about this stuff. I can sit there and speculate and whatnot. But the Horns themselves cannot drop a game. I mean, really, we will be favored throughout the schedule. Baylor is historically not very good. Kansas is not the same team they were last year, and if they were kind of wasn't that good maybe last year. Last year they played the scrubs of the South is what I like to say, because they didn't play Tech, they didn't play Oklahoma, they didn't play Texas. This year they've already lost to Tech and Oklahoma by large margins. Now they're having to play us. But we can't go in there thinking that we're just going to blow someone out, especially after losing a game already. So that's a potential loss, but more than likely, it should be a victory for us. And then A&M. A&M's straight garbage this year. But as I've said before, they show up against Texas. Something happens, something clicks there, and they could have a bunch of junior high kids, and they would sit there and play their hearts out and give Texas a game a lot of times. We should blow them out, but we'll see what happens. Focusing on Baylor, I've watched a couple of the games. Robert Griffin is good. The team is not. I mean, Baylor fans know. I've talked to Baylor fans. It gets frustrating to see him throw some great passes, and those wide receivers just drop them. They still got that Baylor defense. It's just they're still not on par with Texas just yet. Texas Longhorns, we just got to worry about keeping the team will worry about taking care of business and winning these next 3 games, and hopefully we get to the title game. But definitely, I'll be watching the other games and making sure that the right things happen for us to get back in that title hunt. Hook 'em horns, Texas fight. We are still in this. Can't wait for this week of college football. Eyes of Texas are upon you.